All right, how's everyone doing? This is Hala Pablo. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get right into Bitcoin and do a quick synopsis of where we are, where I believe we are. Okay, so over here on the left, we've got Bitcoin on the macro, and then over here on the right, the micro. You know how things are with the channel, how I do it. So here, yeah, we found support on the 200 SMA, and we've bounced. And this comes on the heels of good news, dovish news as far as tariffs go with Trump and China, and so yeah, that was a breath of fresh air, and that I believe catalyzed the recent pump that we've had. So we're currently at 114.6, and this is up significantly from where we were down here about a week ago, right? With the sign of weakness area, which if we're going off this Wyckoff distribution 1, which it's starting to look more and more like we are, then this would make perfect sense. Now, these major markups and markdowns, see like this markdown here, this was the dump, right, from October 10th, which I believe culminated in this UTAD, if we were to go off this Wyckoff schematic distribution 1, which is what it's looking like. These markdowns and markups, the pumps and the dumps, are effectuated or catalyzed by major news events. We've gone through this so many times on this channel. I've hopefully those of you who are new to all of this are beginning to see patterns or see things that are common to many of these tops and bottoms, and that is the major movements, like the areas that culminate here at this buying climax of this preliminary supply zone and the buying climax proper here in the UT and the UTAD. These are all formed by major news events which drive the FOMO, in this case if it's going up. And then the same way when we come down, like from this UT here and this UTAD here, are caused also by major news events. That is bad news and up, bad news down, good news up. Okay, that makes sense, right? It's not rocket science. You understand that. So when we see something like the dump on October 10th, this is what was needed to effectually create this UTAD here. It's kind of mysterious the way it works. It's like, I don't believe that market makers are actually, oh, we're going to go into a distribution number 1, so we need to figure out a catalyst here, or let's call President Trump and let's have him tweet something or put something out on X that's gonna facilitate how it works. Nevertheless, these patterns, we find them occurring and reoccurring over and over and over again, and they've been doing so since the 1920s and the 1930s. The tops and the bottoms are very similar in these structures. Nothing is cookie cutter. No two tops, no two bottoms are exactly alike, but many of the features, there's a common thread that runs through them all. So going back to the micro here, we find that we've bounced off the 200 SMA. Well, that's pretty normal. We saw that here. If we look at this we'll call this a distribution, and then we'll call this double top also a distribution. We saw that here back in March, where it bounced here off the 200 after it had this steep sell-off, where it bounced here, it came back up, and this was the LPSY, or the last point of supply for this range, before it came back down and retested the 200 SMA, which failed, and it hugged it for a while and then failed, and it dropped down to the 400, and this was the bottom here, and then it started a whole new bull rally there as well. So we kind of see that here with this. So we have this bounce off the 200. We came back up for this LPSY, kind of like we saw here. Notice that we have supply predominance here, at this bounce. Notice we have supply predominance here as well for the UTAD. Now, if this were a reaccumulation range, we wouldn't see this kind of supply coming in when we're retesting the resistance line here after upthrust. So, but instead we have just a lethal supply coming in at this second mitigation point here at this UTAD, and it came back down, brought us back down, kind of like we see here, brought us back down to the support lines here formed by the automatic rally and the sign of weakness in B. Here's the sign of weakness in B. Here's the automatic rally. So all the points are kind of jibing between these two charts, and then lo and behold, we have a catalyst that brings it back up, because you need another catalyst, because this is another major, we talked about this, markup. So we're coming from the sign of weakness back up to retest these areas here where the old support lines were from the automatic rally, drawn from the automatic rally point and the sign of weakness. We saw the same thing here as it came up. This LPSY mitigated this sign of weakness in B in this prior distribution range here that we had from January to March. We actually tracked this whole distribution. Most other traders were long here, and we were bearish, and we took a lot of flack on this channel. But we called the top, but unfortunately I didn't call the bottom. I thought it was going to go down to a lot lower than it did, but the bottom was 75. But that's not going to happen again with this channel, because we're going to be tracking the 200 and the 400 SMA from now on. We're going to be doing it very carefully, meticulously, diligently. If this does prove to be another distribution, then yeah, we will be tracking the distribution, especially if it gets back down and starts refilling these lower liquidity voids, and we get back down to the 400. Depending on how the price acts down there, will determine whether or not this is curtains for the macro bull run or leg up. I believe that we're going to put another leg up, but perhaps not before we come down and retest the 400 SMA. And if this proves to be a UTAD and these are the series of LPSYs, then we're going to have another markdown, and the markdown should bring us down to at least a 400, which right now is looming around 97 Gs, 97, 98,000, right under 100,000. So if we see the price start falling back down, going back towards 100,000 levels, don't be surprised. You saw it on this channel. It just means that the distribution, number one, is playing out. Now we have the creek lines here. Now the first one I anchored to the preliminary supply. Now this is the anchored VWAP. It serves as like a ice barrier or a creek barrier, just going along the lows of the range. And then the buying climax, I anchored the second VWAP to the buying climax. So we have two ice ranges. Actually, that these are now creek lines. Now notice that the second VWAP is just running, as it were, parallel with the first support line drawn from the automatic rally. This means that this is tracking the volume weighted average price. It's saying that right now the fair value of Bitcoin is congruent to what it was at the automatic rally point after it made the first buying climax here back in July. And so the second one now on the preliminary supply, this gives us even more surface area to average in on this range, is parallel with the lowest support line drawn from the sign of weakness in B. Now if we go down here, you see that these are the two lines. They basically jibe. Here's the automatic rally support line, and here's the sign of weakness in B. I don't know if you could see this chart here. So this is distribution schematic number one of Wyckoff. So and this goes all the way through to the series of LPSYs throughout the bottom of the range. And so we go back up now. Let me reduce this. We go back up now and see what's transpiring here, and we see that it's the same. It's got the automatic rally point and the sign of weakness in B, and the two ice lines. These are basically creeks because, well, the second one from the PSY, from the preliminary supply, is a creek because it's crossed back over it here. But you see now it's stopped out, at least temporarily, here at the first support line. So this is a major battleground here at this LPSY. This is basically whatever the price does here is going to determine whether or not this schematic is invalidated, and this turns into a reaccumulation as we begin to make our way back up. And if we go past the UTAD, then yeah, this whole thing is invalidated, and we can count this as a reaccumulation. But if we get stopped out here, or we begin to basically consolidate here, and we form maybe like a bear symmetrical in this area, we sort of get some sideways action here, and the price starts narrowing, kind of like what we see here at this second LPSY, or maybe it's a bit lower, but everything should transpire between these two support lines here, and then mark down. If more supply begins to come in, you see how demand is diminishing in the vertical bar volume. So we're not getting a lot of demand in these lines. But in all fairness, supply is also diminishing. So it could go either way. But as far as like the price action so far that's been playing out in this system here, everything is pointing towards potential distribution. And so, notwithstanding the good news now with the Trump lightening up on, it was 100% tariffs. That's what catalyzed this dump from the UTAD. And now he's lightening up. No more 100%. Things look brighter. So that catalyzed this LPSY back up to the support line. Look now for something else to happen, perhaps. Just keep tuning into the news. Just find out what's going on the broad macroeconomic stage, and if something is brewing that may seem so, then that would probably be the catalyst that would effectuate this markdown here in phase E that we see in distribution in distribution 1. But like I said, I don't think we would go past 97. Whatever it is, we could bottom out around here, 97, and then reaccumulate, begin perhaps, this isn't financial advice, but buying aggressively as we approach the 400 SMA, somewhere around 97, 95. If we go beneath 97, remember there's an unfulfilled CME gap somewhere between 93, I believe, 93 and 95. So that could be a wick area, a flash wick down. So maybe put some buy orders down there. I know that's what I'll do. And you can pick up some oversold Bitcoin and be a happy camper. All right, guys, that's all I got. Hopefully you got something out of this. Keep an eye on the charts. Look to the sky. You can tell if it's going to rain or it's going to be a good day. Red in the morning, sailors take warning. Red at night, sailors delight. We could look at the same thing with the signs of the times, or in the volume in the price action, and the current events. All right, guys, that's all I got. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to drink more coffee. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again for tuning in. None of what you've heard here is financial advice. Be safe. God bless you. Love you all. Bye-bye.